Hi guys, this is a first gen EXP, so Frog Eye's car, and it is not a turbo, so it doesn't have the lower chin spoiler. I have a video on removing the lower chin spoiler and the entire front clip of a turbo car, so I'll include that in the description if you're looking for that. But otherwise, this is for only 82 through 85 EXPs and LN7s. Without the turbo front end. So we'll get into it. It's not too complicated. There are a lot of bolts to remove, however, and it is very time consuming. It's not too difficult, but there is a lot of bolts to keep track of. First, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts. Bolts on the top of that fender, and then you have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side, and they varies. Not all EXPs have every bolt, and some EXPs have more on one side than the other. So there's a little bit of variance there. So like I said, you got 8 on the top side, about 8, and then you have 1 here in the back corner, right at the bottom of the A-pillar. The only way to get to that is to have your door open. Open it almost all the way so you can still fit a wrench with an extension there through this angle, and you'll have a bolt head right on the side holding the quarter panel. So now you're up to 9 bolts per side. What else? Well, underneath the car is where you'll get to the next one. All the Escort and EXP bodies have what I call ears here. You can see that little ear or stem that jets out from the rest of the body. It's got a hole in it. That is the receiving end for a clip on the front nose. Sorry, not nose, front fender. So you can see that little stem sticking out there, there is a bolt going into that. Sometimes they go in from the front, sometimes they go in from the rear. Unless someone's been monkeying around with it, should be a 8mm head, just like all the rest of the top bolts, and then the 2 side bolts. And they're not that easy to get to. Best way to do it, like I said, is from underneath the car. So you can see it'll be in that corner. Sometimes, if they're installed from this direction, you can just stick your arm down here, attach a socket wrench to it, go up and down, or maybe you want to do it from up here if you can. Just remember, when this is fully assembled, the light bezel is pretty close to the radiator support, so you probably can't get into it from there, because you can't get that bolt out, either that one or the one on the other side. You can't move the front nose or clip forward until you get those 2 bolts off the ear stems. Also, this is a good time to mention that the best time to pull off the nose cone is after you've removed the front fenders. I make these videos because I always forget the best way to remove a front end off an EXP is to remove the entire front clip. That means remove the fenders, both sides with the nose cone, and then you can do the hood when you're all done. Or do the hood first. Either or. Just know that it is easiest with the 2 fenders attached to the nose to remove all of that. One of the last bolts on the fender goes in at the bottom here. You can see a hole right there at the bottom of the fender. You'll have another 8mm head bolt going up from the bottom side, but you won't really find it because it's covered up by these guys. These are little plastic panels. They're designed to keep the bottom of your fender from rotting out. But if these fill with mud, fill with rocks, whatever, if these get just dirty and disgusting, they will hold water, and your quarter will rust. But as long as you're cleaning your car fairly regularly, whenever you go through a lot of mud or rocks or whatever, wash this stuff off immediately. You'll thank yourself. But as long as it's free and clear, water will just run right off this guy. You can see that it's down here, it's angled, so it'll run off this way. And then there's also a nice catch trough, so water will pool up in here and then run out either this end or out this end. And then just remember the orientation of these. This is the bottom side as you're looking at the car from directly underneath. And they always point towards the back of the car, just so you know. And then the big flat spot goes further underneath the car. The shorter end points out towards you. And they're only held in by 2 screws. They'll have Phillips heads on them. Just remove those 2. Sometimes they fight bad. If they fight bad, grind a straight slot in them, remove them, extract them. Sometimes you can fit vice grips around them, whatever. Once you remove those 2, that panel just drops. It'll fall on the floor after you get halfway through the second screw. It'll just fall off. Then you get that bolt like I mentioned. And now you're ready to, you're almost ready to draw the whole thing forward. You have a few more bolts out front holding just the nose cone on. You got 2 here that attach to this little stem that's adjustable. You see that those holes are oblong, so the nose can move forward and backward within it. And then it's bolted into the radiator support from the inside here. And those holes are also oblong, so you move it side to side. That's how you adjust your front nose cone. So when you go to assemble it, loosen up these 2, leave them loose, leave these 2 loose within this bracket. And the best way to remove the front clip is just leave this bracket on, honestly. Unless your car is a turbo car. If your car is a turbo car, I mentioned it in the video, you want to undo these 2 bolts and leave these 2 because you can't get to them with the fans there. Your last bolt is here. There's another bracket for the bumper. It goes on the topmost part of the radiator support. Best way to remove it is just 1 bolt through there, because then after you have this nose cone off, it can lay flat on the ground. With these 2 guys here, they'll sit really nice on the ground. Removing these 2, you're putting a fair amount of strain and weight on the center of this. So leave them on if you can. If you have a turbo car, I think I had to remove these. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's about it for all of your bolts and hardware. Once you do all that, you can start sliding it forward a little bit. And then you don't want to forget these fender liners. I had to leave my fenders on because sorry, I say bolts. There's just Phillips head screws with big heads on them. They look like these guys. You'll have 1, 2, there we go, 3 on each fender. One every 90 degrees pretty much. And sometimes they don't want to come out. So, like I said, grind a straight slot into them, remove them that way, put vice grips on them, grind them off if you have to, do whatever you can to remove them. I couldn't even do that. So what I did was I undid the 2 screws in the back corner that hold the fender liner onto the subframe, the wheel well, and then I removed the couple plastic pop tabs that hold the fender liner onto the car. So when I pull this off, my fenders are going to take the fender liners with them, and that's not an issue. Once you slide it forward a little bit, you can do the following. You can now undo the headlight connectors if you haven't already. They're not too hard, but when they get corroded like these, they become quite a pain. And then you'll really want to move the nose cone forward to get to these. These are the front turn markers on the sides of the fenders here. That all it is 1 little bulb on the end here, and the connector for it is alright. It's I'm going to call it bayonet style. That may or may not be the correct term, but it goes in. It'll be cocked in there at a 45 or 90 degree angle, depending on how hard someone's twist on it. Usually they just sit at 45 degrees. The way to get these out is grab them, go lefty-loosey, and they should just pop right out. Again, they'll only come out if they're vertical or horizontal. And then when you go to put them back in, they only go in one way. On all my 82s, these are really squishy guys. But on my 84 turbo, I say turbo because it's the only 84 I have, and it just happens to be a turbo. So it might be like this on all the other 84 to 85 cars, maybe even 83 cars. But these are hard as a rock. They're actually plastic. But on the 82 cars, like I said, these guys are rubber. So they're really easy to get off. The plastic ones, however, you might need to get a set of pliers. Pinch them like I am with my fingers. You pinch them like that. Again, turn them 45 degrees. Lefty-loosey, they'll pop right out. Once you've done all that, these are ready to come off. This is where you really want a buddy. You could do it yourself, but you risk doing a lot of damage. If your paint is perfect, really have a buddy. Because here is where it gets a little tricky. You can see my aluminum bumper. This is the actual bumper. Remember, the nose cone up here is just a bumper cover, bumper skin, whatever. That will get caught on the mounting plate for the fender and the nose cone. You can see that they're touching right down there. So what you have to do is you have to grab the entire front clip, slide it to one side or the other like that, and then with two people, like I said, you need to take one side, push it in as far as you can, and then that allows you to take the other side, slide it out, pull it away from the bumper. Now you can see that I've pulled it out and in front of the bumper. So once you do that, you can take this, push it back towards the other side, and then you can slide that end out, work it out, and now it's just having a guy on each wheel well bringing it out this way. Set it down somewhere. But all that sounds complicated. It ain't bad. It's just very time consuming. Real easy stuff though, guys. Like I said, the only part that sucks is getting that little ear bolt down in there, and then doing the couple Phillips head screws that you have. It's a real pain in the butt doing some of them when they're rusty. When they're not rusty, they come out easier than any of the bolts will. One thing I did miss, sometimes you have screws on these guys, these little plastic tabs. This is the lower air dam of your nose cone. See those little tabs again? Sometimes you have screws in there, and then you also should have a plastic deflector that goes underneath the radiator, on the radiator support. It's only attached via pop tabs, so you got a bunch of pop tabs on the top. Or if you go the route of removing them from the vertical end, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I did. I grabbed my pop tab remover. Or maybe they call it a body clip or body retainer separator. One of these guys. Squeeze the handle, it separates them. So I was able to come in, put it right inside the clip, and then pop. Just the 4 times, got it done, and then I can buy pop tabs at my leisure. Because you can get a pack of 4 for like 50 cents to $1. $2, I guess, depending on where you live. Otherwise, it ain't too bad. I think I have a video on how to remove it, how to install it. So I'll leave that in the description. But best of luck, guys. I also have a video on changing out the headlights. I'll have a video on separating the nose from the fenders in a coming video. And then I do have a video on how to remove the front bumper corners and the corner light that's inside them. So those will also be in the description. So we'll leave it at that, guys. Have yourselves a fun day.